So I think the biggest thing that I'll sort of talk about in all these sorts of things is, you, again, think about yourselves as owners of your work. And again, a lot of this, remember, this all thing emerged from an entrepreneurship class. So this is, again, sort of in this trend of entrepreneurial authors, is how do you start to maximize the opportunities from your book? Because you're going to do all this work. You're going to put in 10 months of work into something. How do you make sure that it's the maximum value for you? So this is, again, the traditional way that people have thought about books, all right, when you launch a book. And so what happens is on day 0, you launch your book, your hardcover, your audiobook, your digital version, and maybe your Spanish translation. You put them all out in a very short window of time, all right? Who knows if you're doing Spanish? Dustin looks like he's going to do his in Chinese. So Chinese translation first. So then you write the book, and you sort of wait a bunch of time, and then you do your second book, all right? Now, the reason this has happened is that publishers want you to have a concentrated launch for 2 reasons. Number 1, they focus on having your book sort of become a breakout success. They're looking for like home runs. And so they want you to concentrate your efforts so you could make it onto a fancy list or someone's favorite reads. And so they concentrate the efforts so that you can sort of have that momentum. So they want to see that you've done 10,000 sales in a week if they can. So they give you everything right there. The second reason for it is they want to be done with you. Right? So like once they wind up getting the stuff out, it's going to trickle out, but they sort of want to be done. Now, the challenge with that one is that it sort of gives you this, as the author, this spiky opportunity list. So you have a bunch of benefit, and then there's a wait, and then a bunch of benefit again, right? And so that's kind of, again, it's good, but it's also not great. Now, what we went out this summer, and I went out and sort of studied, had one of my MBAs go study a whole bunch of today's best thought leader authors, and I wanted to see, like, how did they actually, like, structure their launches? Because, again, they're thinking about it slightly differently, right? They're thinking about it from opportunity maximization. That's the goal. So what they do is they maximize the chances for opportunities for them to come from their books in this way. So this is the typical pattern you see. They start by launching one thing, and a few months later they launch another thing, and then another thing, and another thing, and then the next version of it. What they start to do is they think about it very differently, and it starts to create this sort of like growth of your reputation, of opportunities that come from it. So rather than sort of waiting, doing a concentration, and then delaying for several years, people can sort of think about these things slightly differently. They think about the benefit from it trickling out over time. And so an owner author, who again own the rights to it, you don't care about how concentrated it is, you care about how maximizing the value for you over a greater window of time. And so what you see here is under this way is that today's best author owners, or sort of entrepreneurial authors, they think about it differently. They think about how can they increase the density of opportunities. So rather than having 2 spikes, now you see you have 5 spikes and sort of lower floors that happen between it. So as you think about this one, remember, these are just opportunities for you to, again, continue to put yourself out there, get your brand out there, and sort of build the opportunities for you in that regard. So this kind of makes sense a little bit as the internet goes unstable yet again. Does this sort of make sense a little bit?